There is a question many people struggle with in life. Why do the very people who hurt you keep coming back? They walked away. They betrayed your trust. They broke your heart. And yet, after all of that, they return, sometimes with apologies, sometimes pretending as if nothing ever happened. Why? The answer is simple. Purpose attracts people, even those who wounded you. When you are living in your assignment, those who left you will realize they need what you carry. They did not leave because you were not valuable. They left because they did not recognize your value at the time. There is something about purpose that cannot be ignored. When a person discovers their assignment in life and begins to walk in it, they become a magnet, drawing not only those who celebrate them, but also those who once rejected them. Purpose has a way of making people recognize what they once overlooked. This is why in life, those who left you, those who hurt you, those who dismissed you, often find their way back, not because they have changed, but because they now see what they failed to see before. People do not abandon what they value. They abandon what they do not yet understand. When someone walks away from you, it is often not a reflection of your worth, but of their inability to recognize it at the time. Some people left because they were blind to what was in you. They saw you in your process, not in your completion. They judged you based on where you were, not where you were going. And because they did not see your future, they treated you according to your present. But the truth is, purpose is not defined by people's opinions. It is established by God. The prodigal son left his father's house because he believed he could find something better on his own. He only returned when he realized that what he left was far greater than what he had chased. This is the pattern of human nature. People often walk away from what is valuable, only to return when they discover that nothing else compares. They leave because they assume that what they desire is elsewhere. But when life humbles them, when reality teaches them a lesson, they find their way back. Not necessarily because they love you, but because they need you. A tree never moves, yet birds return to its branches when they need rest. A well never chases after those who drink from it, but when thirst comes, they return to draw from its water. When you are walking in your purpose, you do not need to chase after those who left. If they truly need what you carry, they will find their way back. But wisdom teaches that not everyone who returns deserves a place in your life again. Some return to benefit from what you have become, not to value who you are. People who hurt you often return because your growth exposes their mistake. When they left, they thought they were making the right decision. They believed they could replace you, that they could find better, that they did not need you. But purpose has a way of proving them wrong. When they see you flourishing, when they see that their absence did not destroy you, when they see that you are now in a place they never expected, they begin to realize that their departure was not your loss, it was theirs. But you must discern their intentions. Some return because they now honor your value. Others return because they want access to what you have built. There are those who come back to celebrate your growth, and there are those who come back because they see an opportunity for themselves. This is why you must not allow emotions to dictate your decisions. Just because someone realizes your value now does not mean they deserve a place in your future. The greatest mistake you can make is to give priority to someone who once treated you as an option. If they could not see your worth before, what guarantees that they will handle it correctly now? If they walked away when you were in your process, what makes you think they will remain when you face challenges again? A person's ability to return does not automatically qualify them for restoration. Some people were meant to exit your life permanently. Their departure was part of God's plan to make room for those who would truly value you. This is where wisdom is necessary. Purpose will always attract people, but it is your responsibility to decide who gets access to you. Not everyone who left should be welcomed back. Not everyone who returns has changed. Some are returning because they have no other option, not because they have learned their lesson. You must discern whether their return is an assignment from God or a distraction from the enemy. Your purpose is greater than the pain of those who left you. If they did not see your value then, do not be quick to grant them the privilege of your presence now. Some people only come back to see if you still belong to them, not because they belong to you. People do not walk away from what they value, they walk away from what they do not understand. Many times when someone leaves you, it is not because you lack worth, it is because they fail to see it. They misjudged what you carried, they assumed that you were ordinary, they thought that what you offered could be easily replaced, but what they fail to realize is that true value is often hidden until the right time. A diamond in the rough does not look like a diamond. Gold in its raw form does not shine. Before a masterpiece is complete, it looks like a mess. And because people often judge based on appearances, they make the mistake of leaving what was meant to bless them. This is why many walk away, not realizing that they are walking away from something rare, something irreplaceable. They misjudge your value because they see only the process, not the finished work. When Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, they thought they were getting rid of him. They saw him as a dreamer, a nuisance, someone who had no real significance in their lives. But they misjudged what he carried. They did not know that the one they despised would one day be the one they would need. They saw a boy, God saw a ruler. They saw a problem, God saw a solution. And when famine came, they returned. Because the same one they dismissed was now sitting in a position of power. This is what happens when people misjudge your value. They leave thinking they can do better. They walk away believing that you are not as important as you really are. But life has a way of teaching them. Time has a way of proving them wrong. And when they finally realize their mistake, they return, not necessarily because they love you, but because they now recognize what they lost. But the question is, should you always take them back? Should you always give access to those who could not see your worth the first time? The answer is wisdom. Not everyone who leaves should be welcomed back. Some people left because their part in your story was over. Others left because they were not meant to go where God is taking you. And some left because they were blind to your value. But their blindness is not your responsibility. You must understand that your worth is not determined by who stays or who leaves. People's perception of you does not define you. Their rejection does not reduce your value. Just because someone does not recognize what you carry does not mean it is not there. A king is still a king, even if he is in a prison cell. A leader is still a leader, even if no one follows him yet. Purpose is not dependent on public approval. It is established by God. This is why you must never allow rejection to break you. Do not waste your energy trying to convince people of your worth. If they cannot see it, let them go. If they misjudge what you carry, do not lower yourself to prove it. The right people will recognize you without explanation. The right doors will open without you begging. When something is valuable, it does not chase after those who walk away. It simply waits for those who truly appreciate it. But here is the reality. When those who misjudge you see your growth, they will want access again. When they see that their absence did not destroy you, when they see that you have become something greater than they expected, they will return. Some will come back because they regret their mistake. Others will come back because they see an opportunity for themselves. But wisdom says that just because someone realizes your value now does not mean they deserve a place in your future. The greatest mistake you can make is to allow temporary emotions to give permanent access to someone who once treated you as an option. If they could not see your worth when you had nothing, what guarantees that they will value you now? If they walked away when you were in your process, what makes you think they will remain when challenges come again? Some people only return because they ran out of other options, not because they truly appreciate you. This is why discernment is necessary. Not everyone who realizes your value should be allowed back into your life. Some were meant to be a lesson, not a lifelong connection. If they misjudged your worth before, do not be quick to grant them the privilege of your presence now. Because the truth is, some people only come back to see if they still have access to you, not because they belong to you. Just because someone returns does not mean they deserve re-entry into your life. People often leave thinking they can do better, believing that they no longer need you, assuming that you were just a temporary part of their journey. But when life humbles them, when time reveals the truth, when they realize what they walked away from, they come back. The question is not whether they will return. The question is whether you should let them back in. Not everyone who left was meant to stay away forever, but not everyone who returns is meant to stay either. Some people were removed for a reason. Some exits were orchestrated by God to protect you from what you could not see. Yet, when emotions get involved, when nostalgia clouds your judgment, it is easy to welcome back those who were never meant to have access to you again. Wisdom teaches that not every open door should be entered and not every returning person should be embraced. When Judas betrayed Jesus, he later regretted his decision. He realized too late that he had misjudged the one he walked with, but by the time he wanted to undo his actions, the damage had already been done. There are people in life who will only recognize your worth after they have hurt you. They will only understand what you carried once they no longer have access to it. And some, like Judas, will return in regret, while others will return hoping to regain access. But regret does not always mean transformation. Just because someone feels sorry for what they did does not mean they have changed. This is where many people make a mistake. They assume that because someone apologizes, because someone acknowledges their mistake, it means they have learned their lesson. But not everyone who returns is sincere. Some people come back because they have nowhere else to go. Some return because they see what you have built and want a part of it. Some come back because they are testing if they still have power over you. And if you are not careful, you will reopen a door that was meant to remain closed. Forgiveness is necessary, but access is optional. You are called to forgive because it frees your heart. But that does not mean you must reinstate people into their old positions in your life. If they betrayed your trust before, what proof is there that they will not do it again? If they abandon you in your difficult season, what makes you think they will stay in your next challenge? People's words mean nothing without changed behavior. Do not let emotions blind you to patterns that have already been established. Some people return because they miss how you made them feel, not because they truly value who you are. They remember the comfort, the support, the encouragement, and the stability you provided. But the question is, did they value you when they had you? Or did they only realize your worth after walking away? If someone only sees your value in your absence, what guarantees that they will treat you right in your presence? Re-entry must be earned. Trust must be rebuilt. Access must be guarded. You do not owe anyone a second chance just because they regret losing you. Some doors must remain shut, some bridges must stay burned, and some people must only be loved from a distance. If their absence did not break you, their return should not distract you. If you survived without them, do not let their reappearance pull you back into what you have already healed from. Your destiny is too important to be jeopardized by those who did not see it before. Your assignment is too valuable to be shared with those who once treated it lightly. The past cannot be changed, but the future is still in your hands. Not everyone who returns has changed, and not everyone who comes back should be allowed back in. Because the truth is, some people only return to see if they still have access to you, not because they belong to you. Forgiveness is a command, but reconciliation is a choice. Many people struggle with this distinction because they believe that forgiving someone means they must also restore the relationship. But wisdom teaches that while you are required to release the offense, you are not obligated to reestablish what was broken. Some people were removed from your life for a reason, and just because you have healed does not mean you must give them access again. Forgiveness is for your freedom. It is not about the other person, it is about you. When you forgive, you release the burden of offense, the weight of resentment, and the prison of bitterness. You are not forgiving because they deserve it. You are forgiving because your heart was not designed to carry unforgiveness. Holding on to pain only poisons you, not them. But forgiveness does not mean that trust is automatically restored. It does not mean that you must open the door for them to return. Forgiveness is given freely, but reconciliation must be earned. When someone breaks a glass, they can apologize for dropping it, but the cracks remain. The same is true for relationships. Damage leaves marks. An apology does not erase the betrayal, the abandonment, or the dishonor. Words do not automatically undo actions. And if someone returns seeking reconciliation, the question is not just whether they are sorry, but whether they have changed. The prodigal son's father forgave him before he even returned, but the son had to make the journey back. He had to recognize his mistake, humble himself, and take responsibility for his actions. True reconciliation requires more than just an apology. It requires evidence of transformation. Anyone can say they are sorry, but have they learned from their mistake? Have they shown through their actions that they are different from the person who once hurt you? This is why you must not allow guilt to make decisions for you. Some people will try to use your kindness against you. They will remind you of your obligation to forgive, but they will not speak of their obligation to change. They will demand a second chance without proving that they deserve it. But wisdom says that not everyone who seeks access should be given it. Trust, once broken, must be rebuilt. Just as a house that has been damaged must undergo reconstruction before it is safe to live in again, relationships require work before they can be restored. If someone betrayed you before, what steps have they taken to ensure they will not do it again? If they abandoned you when you needed them most, what guarantees that they will not leave again when challenges arise? Jesus forgave those who crucified him, but he did not entrust himself to everyone. He understood that not all who followed him were truly with him. There were those who came for the miracles but did not want the commitment. There were those who celebrated him one day and shouted, "Crucify him," the next. And just as he discerned the hearts of those around him, you must also discern who truly values your presence and who only desires the benefits of being connected to you. Forgiving someone does not mean returning to dysfunction. It does not mean tolerating disrespect. It does not mean ignoring red flags just because someone expresses regret. Love is not just about second chances. It is also about wisdom. And wisdom says that some relationships must remain in the past. Some people were removed from your life as an act of divine protection. And their return is not a sign that you must bring them back in. Your heart is valuable, your time is precious, and your purpose is too important to be jeopardized by those who did not appreciate you before. So forgive, because it frees you, but reconcile only if it aligns with wisdom. Because the truth is, some people only come back to see if they still have access to you, not because they belong to you. Some people return out of regret, while others return out of convenience. There is a difference between someone who comes back because they truly value you and someone who returns because they realize they lost a good thing. Many times, when people walk away, they do so because they believe they can do better. They assume that what they had with you was common, replaceable, and easy to find elsewhere. But life has a way of teaching lessons that words cannot. Time has a way of revealing truth. And when reality hits, when they experience disappointment, when they see that what they were looking for was already in what they left behind, they return. But their return does not always mean that they have changed. Some come back because they realize their mistake, but others come back because they need something. Some return because they have matured, but others return because they are desperate. You must be able to discern the difference. Just because someone regrets leaving does not mean they have truly learned their lesson. And just because someone apologizes does not mean their intentions are pure. Judas regretted betraying Jesus, but his regret did not lead to transformation. The rich young ruler walked away from Jesus because he valued his possessions more than the calling to follow Christ. Had he returned, would it have been out of true repentance, or because he realized what he missed out on? People can regret what they lost without ever changing who they are. Some people only feel remorse because they lost access to what they once took for granted. And if you are not careful, you will mistake regret for repentance. This is why wisdom is necessary. When someone returns, do not be quick to welcome them with open arms. Watch their actions. Observe their consistency. Ask yourself, are they here because they love me or because they need something from me? Are they returning because they truly see my value now or because their options have run out? Some people only come back because they have nowhere else to go. Others return because they see you flourishing and want a part of what you have built. But their return is not always about you. It is often about them. When the prodigal son left, he believed that his father's house was limiting him. He thought that he could create a better life elsewhere. But when he found himself in a place of lack, he realized that what he walked away from was far greater than what he was chasing. His return was not just about regret. It was about humility. He did not return demanding his old position. He did not come back with a sense of entitlement. He came back acknowledging his mistake, ready to take even the lowest place just to be near his father again. That is what true change looks like. But not everyone who returns carries that same humility. Some people return expecting to pick up where they left off, without ever addressing the damage they caused. They want to walk back into your life as if nothing happened. They want you to open the door without question. But wisdom teaches that restoration must be based on evidence of transformation, not just emotion. If someone truly values you now, they will not rush the process. They will not demand immediate trust. They will not pressure you to forget the past without showing a change in their character. Do not allow lowliness or sentiment to cloud your judgment. Do not let guilt force you into accepting what God already removed. Just because someone returns does not mean they are meant to stay. Some people left because they were not assigned to your future. Their part in your story ended, and their return is not always a sign to reopen the door. It is a test to see if you have learned the lesson. Your life is too valuable to allow people back in simply because they regret leaving. Regret is not enough. Change is what matters. Discern who is returning because they have grown and who is returning because they have run out of options. Because the truth is, some people only come back to see if they still have access to you, not because they belong to you. When someone returns after hurting you, their presence is not always a sign to reopen the door. It is often a test of whether you have truly healed. Many people make the mistake of thinking that when someone comes back, it means they are meant to be part of the next chapter. But some people return not because they belong in your future, but because they want to see if they still have access to your life. And if you are not careful, you will confuse their return with restoration when it is actually a reminder of why they left in the first place. Healing does not mean that you forget what happened. It means you have learned from it. It means you no longer hold on to the pain, but you also do not ignore the lesson. It means you are free from bitterness, but you are also walking in wisdom. Because when someone leaves and then comes back, it is not just a test of their sincerity, it is a test of your growth. Will you allow someone who once hurt you to have the same place in your life without accountability? Will you ignore the patterns that once broke you just because time has passed? Or will you recognize that healing is not just about moving forward, but also about protecting yourself from repeating the past? Just because you have forgiven does not mean you must entertain what no longer aligns with your future. Some people return only to see if they still have an open door. They want to know if you are still vulnerable to their influence. They want to see if they still have the same control over you. But true healing is when you can face them and no longer feel the need to prove your worth. When you can see them return and no longer be moved by their words. When their presence does not shake your peace or pull you back into old cycles. That is when you know you have truly healed. Jesus encountered many people in his ministry, but he was not moved by everyone's words. He understood the heart behind the actions. He knew that some people followed him for the miracles, not because they truly wanted him. And this is where discernment becomes necessary. Not everyone who returns has pure motives. Some come back because they see what you have built. Others come back because they want to benefit from your success. But when you have healed, you no longer allow emotions to cloud your discernment. You recognize that not everyone deserves access to your life just because they regret walking away. True healing gives you the strength to say no without guilt. It allows you to move forward without hesitation. It keeps you from reopening doors that God has closed. Because the reality is, if someone truly valued you, they would not have walked away in the first place. And if they have changed, they will respect the process of rebuilding trust. They will not rush back in as if nothing happened. They will not pressure you to forget the past without taking responsibility for it. They will not expect immediate restoration without first proving through their actions that they are different. Do not let your emotions lead you back into cycles that God has already delivered you from. Just because someone returns does not mean they are meant to stay. Healing means that you are no longer bound by the past, but it also means that you have gained the wisdom to protect your future. The greatest test of healing is not how you feel when someone is absent, it is how you respond when they return. Will you allow them to disrupt your peace again, or will you stand firm in the lessons you have learned? Your future is too valuable to be compromised by those who did not appreciate you before. Your healing is too important to be interrupted by those who only return when they realize what they lost. And your growth is too significant to be undone by those who left you when you were still becoming who you are today. So when they return, do not just listen to their words, watch their actions, because the truth is, some people only come back to see if they still have access to you. Not because they belong to you. Life will always bring people back who once walked away, but their return is not always a sign to reopen the door. Some come back because they have changed, while others return only because they lost what they once took for granted. Wisdom teaches us that regret is not the same as transformation, and an apology does not automatically restore trust. You must guard your heart, protect your peace, and walk in the wisdom that healing has given you. Forgive freely, but do not be pressured into reconciliation that does not align with your future. Your destiny is too important to be compromised by those who only recognize your value after losing you. As you move forward, remember this: not everyone who returns is meant to stay, and not everyone who seeks access should be given it. Let wisdom guide your decisions and never allow the past to distract you from the future God has prepared for you. May you walk in clarity, may you stand firm in your worth, and may you always choose what aligns with your purpose. Good luck and thank you.